It may have been a one-match show, but what a match that was. I'm Charles Rentham with the Retro Review of WWE Armageddon 2000. That Hell in a Cell match is one of my favorite Hell in a Cell matches and one of my favorite matches of all time. It's 5 great talents and Rikishi, all human centipede together inside Satan's structure. But before I talk about that, gotta talk about the undercard. Firstly, I love The End Is Here, the song, it's great stuff. And they have little video snippets of, the great people and Rikishi that are inside Hell in a Cell tonight. The dark match was Sky Tuati versus D'Lo Brown. When D'Lo Brown was part of Lowdown, that team that was so goddamn good, they disbanded shortly after the Royal Rumble 2001. And then we see footage of Foley's vow, where if anybody is seriously injured inside Hell in a Cell, he will resign as commissioner. The Stooges then get Vince out of his limousine. He's got Kane, and he's like, I'm going to take care of this. This Hell in a Cell match will not happen. The Radicals, Dean Malenko, Perry Saturn, and Eddie Guerrero versus the Hardys and Lita. I want to take a moment to mention, by the way, the great Birmingham, Alabama crowd. They were really molten hot for a lot of matches that if you had not had the Hell in a Cell match to close this show, this probably would have been one of the worst pay-per-views of the year because the pacing wasn't bad in some of these matches, but some of them were short, except for one last man standing match that had a really stupid start, and I'll talk about that here in a minute. But this, at least every match had a brisk pace to it. This was all about, it was an intergender elimination match, by the way. This is all about Dean Malenko winning revenge on Lita after him, a married man, went out on a date with Lita and then she embarrassed him. So we got some, quick eliminations after a little bit. Eddie was the first one eliminated. JR was quoted as saying, Jeff Hardy may not have a long career, but it's burning bright as we speak. And 20 years later, Jeff's somehow still walking. He ain't really bright, but he's walking somehow. And it comes down to Dean and Lita. And even though Lita gets in some good moves, eventually, Dean beats the shit out of her. Superplex. Keeps pulling her up after a bunch of moves. Backbreaker. Gets a cloverleaf on her. And then she says that she knows she can beat him. So, there we go. She says, I know I can beat him. I know I can beat him. Dean Malenko would only be wrestling actively for, another year, I think. I think he'd have to retire by late 2001, early 2002. And they did various pieces on the talents that are going to be inside Hell in a Cell and also on Rikishi. Kurt doesn't sweat anybody. He beat, so many people, Slovakians, Russians. He beat them all to earn gold medals, and he was still doing this stuff. And then we get William Regal versus Hardcore Holly from Mobile, Alabama. Hardcore Holly, that is, not William Regal. That would have been very strange. European Championship match. Basically, it was quick. Raven attacks Hardcore Holly from behind. And while the referee's distracted, and Regal covers 1, 2, 3 to retain his championship. Rikishi then talks about sacrifice, and he isn't very convincing. He was not a very good heel. He did it for The Rock. He did it for you people. I think that's how that goes. And then we get Chyna versus Val Venis with Ivory. Chyna wanted revenge because Right to Censor had mocked her for being in Playboy and were harassing her and attacking her and stuff like that. She said she had an alliance with Billy Gunn. Said, Billy, no matter what, please stay back there. I got to do this on my own. And, of course, Val Venis got outworked by somebody that was a better person and was a better worker in the ring than he ever was. Even getting fisted from behind, which I'm sure he enjoyed. I'm going to say right now that people can have whatever views they want, but if you check out Val Venis' Twitter, and if you're a reasonable-minded person, you're probably blocked by the dumb fuck, check out just how insane the guy is. Apparently, he took one too many shots to the head, or that splash from Rikishi at Foley Load 2000 off the cage really did hurt him a whole lot more than we thought. Or he's just always been that goddamn stupid, and we maybe thought, hey, this guy playing the porn star in a sleazebag, maybe he really is a sleazebag, and it turns out he is. So, Chyna got beat up for a bit and was selling. She chased after Ivory, but then got hit with the Fisherman Suplex 1, 2, 3. And then got beat up a little bit afterwards. This would, of course, lead to Chyna having a match. I want to say with Ivory on SmackDown, she would injure her neck, and then would, eventually get her revenge at Mania 17. And then would leave the company soon after. And that's another story for another day. That was a mess, for lack of a better term. She actually got to wrestle in New Japan. She got to wrestle Jushin Thunder Liger. Amazing. So anyway, we think of Vince to Stephanie. He says, I'm going to put a stop to this. Taker talks about his Hell in a Cell memories while Kevin Kelly interviews him. He talks about, grinding people's faces in a hamburger and all this stuff and everything. Making them bleed red, which we know based on how Taker believes, that he definitely bleeds red in more ways than one. One of the best of all time, but a fucking mindless numbskull when it comes to what he feels. So, and it was his fault that he kept coming back. It was nobody else's fault. The fans could have, the fans didn't encourage him enough. It was his greed that did it. That's what it always is with a lot of the all-time greats. They eventually decide they're just going to keep doing it for the money. Nothing wrong with that, but it's his fault. Moving on. Vince is out in the ring cutting a promo. This is where I think they could have cut this a little bit short because this cut into some of the match time. He doesn't regret anything he said on SmackDown, how he wants a divorce, how he, never loved Linda. She would never be good enough for him. And that he wanted the fans to basically say, you don't want this main event. And then they do, and then he basically tells them we're all idiots and this kind of stuff. It's typical Vince promo. Then we get Kane versus Jericho, last man standing match. It started over spilled coffee. They are fighting over shampoo. I actually think they are fighting over shampoo is even worse, the Booker T Edge thing from Mania 18, because that didn't even exist. We actually saw coffee getting spilled, but they're fighting over spilled coffee. And it made Kane think of the times that he got burned, even though he didn't get burned. The match was fine. Of course, there was at one point, they were battling backstage. Midian got beat up. And there was a sawdust truck. And I guarantee you the sawdust truck made no other appearance. It was just there completely, just completely at random. Clearly never made no appearance afterwards. Except I'm totally joking. It obviously did. And eventually we get, to the stage. After getting back to the ring, to the stage. Wall of barrels gets pushed on Kane and Jericho wins. Okay, cool. And then we get Shawn at WWF New York with a giant cowboy hat and probably a bunch of pills under the cowboy hat. Yes, I know he got clean. And he admitted that. And he did. And credit to him. He should have never been allowed on TV from after he left at Mania 14. He should have been kept off of TV. He was not in good shape at this point. He really wasn't. And then we get Edge and Christian versus the Dudleys versus Right to Censor, Bull Buchanan, and the Good Father versus K-Quick and Road Dogg. By the way, K-Quick is R-Truth, in case you don't know. The man still moves that goddamn... He doesn't look any goddamn different. It's 20 years ago, almost 20 years ago. And then Road Dogg. Gee, I wonder if this loss mattered to him, the goddamn idiot, the goddamn, anti-mask piece of shit. He can believe what he wants. And I know that wasn't how he felt back then, or maybe it was how he felt back then, but the guy's a goddamn idiot and was always the worst of the Armstrong family. Can we trade him and bring Brad back? Can we bring Brad back, please? I would really like that. So, 4-way tag title match. It was fine. JR King exchange. I think Bubba's got wood on his mind. And then King says, Devon's got it in his hands. Phrasing. Maybe they intended for it to be like that. Kill switch, and then Edge tops Bubba 1, 2, 3. Right to Censor, I believe, were the tag team champions, so Edge and Christian get the championships. And then would lose them. I want to say lose them to Rock and Taker soon after. Because they like to just toss titles around like crazy, despite the fact that Russo had been gone from the company for over a year. And then we get the one Billy Gunn versus Chris Benoit Intercontinental Championship match. I like Billy Gunn's themes, and Billy Gunn still looks great and is doing great work on AEW programming. His single runs never really worked out, did they? I think he only had the Intercontinental Championship here for like a month? Maybe? I don't even know if he had that long. And then Benoit was like, going to attack him, and Billy Gunn had his own things going on, so he didn't go out to help Chyna because she had said, don't go out and help me. JR says, I don't recall seeing a champion defend a title wearing 2 earrings. I believe Ahmed Johnson wore 2 earrings. To be fair, I would want to forget about Ahmed Johnson also. Billy got some shots, but Benoit just kept ripping and tearing at him. Couple lines, Benoit going behind with that belly-to-back suplex. Even though Billy tried crossface for the win. It was kind of a dominant win. Just where, Benoit got the submission from behind, just strangled him until he tapped out. If only the ref had been there in August, or, June of 2007. But, a couple lines here that just eerie now, knowing what Benoit did. Benoit has done it with the sadistic crippler crossface. King. He can lock that crippler crossface on anyone at any time. If only they had tapped. Moving on. Ivory versus Trish versus Molly Holly Women's Championship. Ivory pins Trish in 2 minutes. Trish would go a long way after this, but my God, this is not good. And then Molly Holly gets harassed by TNA, Test and Albert. And then Crash is confronting them, and then suddenly APA shows up. I'm imagining this is something that happened on Heat, or if it happened on the pay-per-view, I just totally fucking missed it. But anyway, we then get Kurt versus Rock versus Stone Cold versus Triple H versus Taker versus Rikishi. 6-way Hell in a Cell match for the WWE Championship. Absolute goddamn madness. Insane. The fact that Rikishi was in there was fucking ridiculous, but you know what? He was a bad man. He did it for The Rock. He did it for those people. He did it for the people. And let me tell the people. And yeah, he was going after Triple H. Going after everybody. He's going after The Rock. Oh, you don't appreciate what I did for you. Even though it was Triple H that did the running down and was behind the whole damn thing. It was so fucking stupid. Absolute madness. The insanity, the blood, the fact that it was just all these guys. And Rikishi wasn't bad. He was better in tag teams, but by this point, he was way too big and couldn't really do much of anything. And this is 2000. This is 2000. I mean, and then he made those appearances in Impact Wrestling about just under 7 years after this and didn't have anything really left at that point. It was crazy. They were battling all in the ring and everything because the door was padlocked shut. Vince brought the sawdust truck down. I told you it was going to make an appearance. Ripped the door off its hinges, and Kane wasn't even there. And then Foley shows up and stops it, and everybody's getting out and brawling around the cars. The wrecked cars just happen to be at the stage, because why the fuck wouldn't they be there so people could fall on them? Austin even picks up a barrel. That must have been legit because I actually threw him back, and he was trying to throw it at Triple H. And eventually everybody makes it back to ringside. Undertaker, inspiring Chris Benoit by using the, cord right on Kurt Angle's neck. Then eventually, Angle and Taker, and then Triple H and Stone Cold are on top of the Hell in a Cell. They're all battling. And, oh my God, what the hell is going to happen here? Rikishi gets up there. And Taker and Rikishi are battling. And then eventually, Taker, after a headbutt, it looks like Rikishi's going to toss him. Nope. He gets chokeslammed right into the sawdust truck. Crowd goes insane. Austin's even looking. Everybody's looking. I mean, Taker is like fucking passed out on the goddamn roof. And then everybody's just battling there. Well, the remaining 4 guys are in there because Rikishi is just like right there in a bed of sawdust. Rock and Austin battle, and that's a tease for their Mania 17 clash. And then later, a stunner to the Rock. Triple H breaks it up, hits a neck breaker on Austin, but he can't recover in time. Austin tops Rock, or Austin doesn't top Rock. Angle tops Rock. 1, 2, 3, and Austin almost gets it. It would actually almost beat Angle a few weeks later, and then Triple H would stop him, and that would lead to Triple H and Angle getting a match at Royal Rumble 2001, and Austin would stop that. And then Triple H would attack Austin before he got out there for the Rumble. And then we would get a 2 out of 3 falls match. So Triple H would win, yet he somehow wouldn't get a shot at the championship at Mania. I never understood that. And I'm not even a big Triple H fan, but it didn't make sense. This was absolute goddamn madness. It was crazy, it was wild, it was bloody, it was insane, and it was great shit. Great way to close the show. A pay-per-view that probably wouldn't have been nearly as good had it not been for those great 5 stars and Rikishi. Agree, disagree, what I said? Like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Rethlin. I'll see you soon.